All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program. In the U.S., there are over 600,000 missing persons cases reported each year. Many go unnoticed by the general public and are not covered by the media or investigated by law enforcement. Here is just one of these stories. From Grim Media, I'm your host, Steve Stone, and this is the Grim Truth Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Grim Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Stone. Welcome back to the channel. If you are not familiar with what we do here, we cover missing persons cases. We advocate for missing persons cases. These are cases that do not make mainstream media. They might get a rub on the back page bylines of a newspaper, a brief story on the internet. But we cover these cases because they're important, because these individuals may have had a criminal history or a drug problem or, just wrong side of the tracks, but they're still people. They still matter. The missing matter. And that's why we cover them. If you support that, you want to help support that, all you got to do is subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the podcast or any other content related to the missing. Make sure you like and comment down below. Get involved. Let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts. Give us your theories. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. But also, let's share these videos. Today, we're going to talk about part one. We're going to talk about Michael Hawley Jr. He went missing from Taylor, Michigan on February the 14th, 2007. We're approaching his anniversary date. And I think that one of the most telling things about Mike's case is, one, the relationship with his girlfriend, Amanda Galvin, and what's going to happen in the story with her father. But before we get into all that, I really want to talk about a press conference that happened really shortly after Michael went missing. Michael's mom had passed away. She's since passed away. And the pain in her voice struck a chord with me, and you could feel nothing but bad and compassion, because she has a belief in her head of what happened to her son, but she's trying to convey it as best she can. Take a listen.
My name is John Broad. I'm the president of Crime Stoppers of Michigan. We're here today to help the family of Michael Curtis Hawley Jr. Mr. Hawley Jr. was last seen on February 14th of 2007 at 1:30 in the morning at his residence near Cypress Street and Telegraph Road. That residence is between I-94 and Ecorse Road in the city of Taylor. He was wearing a blue jacket and white Nike gym shoes. Mr. Hawley had been involved in a physical altercation with his girlfriend shortly before he went missing. Mr. Hawley spoke with his mother shortly after the altercation, asking her to pick him up from his Taylor address. He also called a few others to get a ride. This was the last time Mr. Hawley had contact with his mother.
It's going on 7 years now, and Michael hasn't contacted nobody. I fear that my son is dead, and I need to know what happened to my son.
That video is still powerful to me to this day. Tracy passed away not ever knowing what happened to her son. Now, we spoke with Tamla. Tamla has kind of taken the reins to be the tip of the spear to find out what happened to Michael. And we talked to her about the kind of person that Michael was and things that led up to his disappearance. And I want to briefly remind everybody, he had a very, very tumultuous relationship with his girlfriend. And we're going to hear a lot about it. So here's Tamela in the first part of our interview.
He was a fun-loving family. He loved his family. A hard worker. He was a good guy. He had moved here to Tennessee in August of 2006 because him and his girlfriend had got into a fight, I guess, and her father beat him up really bad and actually put him in the hospital for 2 weeks. He lacerated his liver, and I know he had a lot of injuries. But so he moved down here in August of 2006, and then he moved back to Michigan to be with her in either the end of December of 2006 or the beginning of January of 2006.
The relationship between Michael and Amanda Galvin was very, very tumultuous, as I said in the beginning. A lot of it had to do with substance abuse. What made things worse, and the reason why Michael left Taylor, Michigan to go back to Tennessee, was because if, God forbid, something happened, Michael would yell at Amanda for whatever reason. She'd go get Daddy, and Daddy would take care of business, physically abusing, beating the crap out of, to the point where he had to go to the hospital, just beating him. Now, most men, if they're in love, they want to, try to make things work. And the pretense for him moving back to Taylor was that Amanda Galvin had gotten clean, and they wanted to start over, and that was something that Michael wanted to do. So here is the story breakdown of what was transpiring. Tamela breaks it down for us and how things went bad very quickly. Take a listen.
I think they was partying, drinking, and I heard possibly drugs. I'm not sure on that. And they had got into a fight. And I'm not sure if I think the guy that they were staying with, from what I heard, kicked her out because she started the fight with some girl that was there. The guy they were staying with, it was one of his friends, and she started a fight with this girl. And then her and Mikey got into it. And then they both had marks from hitting each other. But the guy had kicked her out because she started the fight. And it was like around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning that the police were called. And when they got there, neither one wanted to press charges. Nobody wanted to file charges. So the police left them. They had to leave the house. So they went to a gas station right behind the house or something. And she was waiting for her father to come and pick her up. And Mikey didn't want to leave her alone. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. So he went there with her, and he had called several people, including my brother, which was at my house at the time. And we both talked to him, and he said that if somebody didn't come and get him, he was a dead man. And that was the last anybody has ever heard from him, was between 2:30 and 3 o'clock on February 14th of 2007.
So this get-together was at this man's house, Dean Hoffman. Now, he was letting Michael stay with him. And another female, I guess, was with Dean. and a fight ensued between that female and Amanda Galvin. And that was when it got physical between Michael and Amanda. I do not condone domestic violence whatsoever. That being said, with everything that I've heard, Amanda was always the aggressor, and it seemed like Michael was defending himself. We're going to hear that from Karen. Now, Karen is a family friend who witnessed some of the physicality and the way Amanda treated Michael. In this interview, you're going to hear an instance that I find completely horrifying. Take a listen.
Michael, I've known him since he was a kid. Like, he's like one of my sons. Me and his mom was close. He took and would always come over, play with the kids. Even though he was a little bit older than my kids, he'd play ball and everything with them. You know, him and Amanda was dating. They lived around the corner. They was always, you know, getting drunk or whatever. But she always had an anger problem. Like, I invited them over one day for Easter. Michael comes just because Michael left and came over and told her to meet at my house. She got mad and opens the door, comes and starts swinging at Michael. So I had to interrupt that and tell her, listen, you can't do that in front of my kids. So I thought it would end there. Well, it just, as time went by, their relationship started getting worse. You know, it was like she was always accusing him of things. She was like a really jealous girl. She would even get in altercations with other people but blame Michael. Like, for instance, one day my kids was playing basketball with Michael outside, and her father pulled up and tried to kill Michael in front of my house. I didn't know what was going on at that time, but my kids come running screaming, and Michael was balled up at my door holding his ribs. So I called the EMS and the police, and they picked up Michael in front of my home. And I told Michael, I said, listen, you have to report this. Michael, you need to just get away from her because she's dangerous.
It's safe to say that Michael was getting abuse from both ends. Not only was he in an abusive relationship with Amanda, and again, I'm not stating that, you know, Michael didn't put hands on Amanda, but it seems from everything that we've heard that he didn't really have much of a choice. On top of that, he has to contend with her father, who is huge in a certain gang. I'm not going to give them free publicity, but he's always using this, in a lot of pictures that I have of him, he's using this number 5 or this John Cena, you can't see me crap. But he was getting it from both ends, and he had a reason to be feared. I mean, I'm sure he was afraid, and I'm paraphrasing, and I'm also just guessing. He was probably afraid to leave her again because he'd probably get jumped, and it happened all the time. One of the things I was looking at, that I looked back when I originally did this case, was the stats. On an average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence. And that is, men are a part of that collective. They do, you know, it's not just men on women, it is also women on men. And boy, does Amanda Galvin really fit that narrative. We're going to hear from Karen again, and Karen's going to discuss the last time that she heard, the last time she spoke to Michael. Take a listen.
He called me, and I kind of blame myself because I'm really still tore up about it. I go to counseling and everything because not only there's other issues, but he called me around, I'm going to say, 3 in the morning, and he was telling me exactly what was happening, and I'm like, what's going on? I can hear a little commotion, and he's like, I didn't touch her. I swear I didn't touch her. She's lying on me. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, please come get me, because she called her dad, and her dad's on his way, and he's going to kill me, he said. And I was like, we got to call your mom. We got to, she got to know something. We got to get out there. We got to figure a way out, because my husband wasn't home at that time. I said, well, tell me exactly what happened. He said it was him, his friends, there was another girl there. And because this girl kept staring at Michael, Amanda, because they were all drinking, Amanda assumed that this girl, Michael, was messing around. And she snapped and started arguing with the girl, and her and the girl started fighting. And the girl hit her in the eye. She called her dad and lied and said that Michael hit her. And I didn't get a chance to get out there. And it was around 3, and I know he called his best friend that lived around the corner. I called her. It was like 3 in the morning. She said, yeah, Michael called, but I didn't wake David up because David was sleeping. He had to work. I said, well, he needed help. Something's not right. So I called Tracy, and that's his mom. And she couldn't remember what he said because she was half asleep. She said, all I remember is him saying, Mom, I love you. You're never going to see me again.
The one common theme in Michael's case is the enormous amount of guilt that people feel that they didn't do enough that night to help Michael. And I want to say this. First of all, there was a huge storm at this time. I mean, it was a blizzard down up there. And in Karen's case, her husband wasn't home. And look, guilt will eat you alive. It'll control your everyday life. It'll control how you feel when you get up, to the sleepless nights when your head hits the pillow. You need to find an outlet for that guilt, whether it's talk to somebody, whether it's a priest or a pastor. I believe in God, therefore, I try to give some of the things that I think I could have done better to God. But if you don't necessarily believe in God, and there are some people that don't, you can find other outlets for that. But at the end of the day, the people that are responsible for what happened to Michael Hawley Jr., it isn't Karen, it's not Tamela, and it's not Mike's mom, God rest her soul. It's Amanda Galvin, her father, and the idiots in this gang that are responsible for what happened to Michael. In this next segment we did, when we originally talked to Tamela, I had asked her how she found out the news that Michael was missing.
Around 7 o'clock that morning, February 14th, she had called my brother, his girlfriend, and said Mikey's missing. So that would be 4 hours later. She had called and said that he was missing. And she said that her father dropped him off at one of his vacant houses in Detroit. So anyways, they dropped him off there, and then 4 hours later, she says he's missing. I hadn't seen my brother for probably 3 or 4 days, and then I started calling the Detroit police and the Taylor police back and forth because they were saying, like they didn't want to listen to what I was telling them. Girlfriend, nobody ever went and filed a missing persons report until about a week later.
You don't need my criminal justice degree to realize that there's something not right here. Amanda Galvin states to Tamela that he's missing. But my dad dropped him off at an abandoned house. One of several abandoned houses apparently this guy has or knew of, or I don't know if he owned them or not. I doubt it. But dropped him off at an abandoned house. Folks, comment down below. Why would this man dropped Michael Hawley Jr. to an abandoned house. I don't understand that. Maybe you can help explain it to me. And then the one thing that always hinders a missing persons investigation is not reporting the person missing right away. And then added to all the other stereotypes these cases get because, you know, Michael might have been drinking or on some kind of a substance. We know Amanda Galvin is, and she's gang affiliated, connected because of her father. But, I mean, comment down below. What do you think? What do you think happened here? It is undoubtedly hypothesized that when they got together, all three of them, when the dad got there, that was it for Michael. That was it. His goose was cooked. And then the story about him getting dropped off, and I don't know, he just got dropped off, man. What you're going to listen to next is the events that Dean, who was the roommate, what he was told or what he found out happened to Michael. And this is coming from Karen. It's chilling stuff. Take a listen.
So I ran and got his mom. I took her, went looking for Michael. We did. I went to finally found out where the correct address where he was at on Telegraph. It's a main road. That's like a really busy section, and there's a gas station right behind them. It's right off of 94. So I go over there, and something just didn't seem right. I kept asking a friend, like, I felt like he knew something he just wasn't saying. He finally confesses. He says, listen, I don't want her dad to come back and kill me, because him and another guy came. They dragged Mike off the couch, and they was beating him. They even kicked my door in. So I was just like, well, why didn't you call the police? And he said, because he threatened to kill me.
The one thing that I thought was peculiar about that part of the story is the roommate, Dean, is saying that, well, man, they came in my house, they pulled him out of there, him and another guy. So did they go back to the house? Was Michael back at the house, scared out of his mind, and Amanda separate, and then he was yanked out of the house? That's a good possibility. We just don't know. Law enforcement worked on this case, and it's still open. It hasn't been closed, but this happened in 2007, and no one's seen or heard from Michael. Obviously, that's never a good sign. And the really crappy thing about this whole thing is when Amanda and her father were called in for questioning, they lawyered up. They wouldn't talk without a lawyer, which is telling. Now, full disclosure, everybody has the right to remain silent. It's in our Constitution. That's what the Fifth Amendment's there for. But again, nevertheless, it's telling that means that there's something that they're hiding, and they don't want anybody to know. The grim truth about the Michael Hawley case is he's been gone since 2007. That Amanda Galvin and her gang-affiliated father. I mean, I don't show the pictures that I have, again, because I don't want to promote this gang ideology, but this guy's deep in the gang. And so I get why people are concerned. But these are the people that know what happened to Michael. And we need them to talk. We need somebody else out there that's brave to talk, because we're not ever going to know the truth about what happened to Michael Hawley without someone coming forward. The other big question is Dean Hoffman. Now, I know where Dean Hoffman is. I'm not going to go into great detail, because for his safety. But I'm tracking him down. I know what state he's living in now. He was incarcerated when I initially did this podcast. He's out now, and I'm looking to talk to him. It's very, very important that we get to the truth of what happened to Michael and where Michael is. His mother passed away not knowing. Tamala is still searching for answers, as is Karen, and we need to do everything we can to find out what happened to Michael Hawley Jr. Again, Michael went missing on February the 14th, 2007. He was 5'7", 130 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. He was last seen leaving Dean's house that we know of, and that was near Cypress Street and Telegraph Road with his girlfriend, and then her father came after. Again, we don't know if Michael was taken from Dean's house or not, or from where they were calling from. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Michael Hawley Jr. or any information about Michael Hawley Jr. at all, you can contact 1-800-SPEAK-UP. That's 1-800-SPEAK-UP. There is a $1,000 reward still available for information. I will match that to $2,000 for information about anything to do with Michael Hawley Jr. You can also email me, stevestone@thegrimtruth.com. You can also reach us at our tip line, the Grim Truth Podcast tip line, 321-343-4972. Again, 321-343-4972. And as always, you can remain anonymous. I'll leave all of those numbers at the description below. I would also invite all of you, if you know anybody that is having an issue regarding domestic violence or intimate partner violence, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Again, that's 1-800-799-7233. That hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have phone and online chat. So if you find yourself in need of that resource, please take advantage of that. Also, some other numbers and information for you. If you have a problem with substance abuse, or you know someone that does, you can call the toll-free National Drug Helpline at 1-844-289-0879. Again, 1-844-289-0879. There's also the National Alliance on Mental Illness Help. That toll-free number, 1-800-950-NAMI. Again, 1-800-950-6264. And finally, if you know anybody that is having a hard time, especially if you're a vet, or a family of just having a rough time with their missing person, and there's people out there that can talk and help you. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-8255. They are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you. Please talk to somebody. They're there to listen. On Friday, we are going to talk, part 2 of this episode is Kaya Taylor. Today, as of the recording date of this video, February 6th, this will be the third year of her disappearance to the day. On Friday, we're going to talk about her case. We did this 3 years ago, but again, because it's her disappearance date, we want to hit it hard and get her story out there. We believe that the person or persons responsible are known to her, and we are going to bring that to you on Friday. Thanks for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. Again, if you want to help the podcast, all you got to do is subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the podcast or any other content related to the missing, because it matters. Leave us a like and comment down below. You can also help out if you want to become a producer of the podcast. It's simple. For less than $3 a month, you can help the channel. You can visit my Patreon at www.patreon.com. Search my name, Steve Stone. Become a member. Any donation that helps the page, you will become a producer, and your name will be on the ending credits of the podcast. That's going to do it for today's episode. We will see you on Friday for the next episode. I'm Steve Stone, and this has been the Grim Truth Podcast. Until next time, God bless.